Hello friends and welcome back home to Rivervale. This is Garlic and today we're gonna try to tackle the age-old question, is tanking even possible in D&D? So a lot of people have this fantasy being this toughened warrior on the front lines of the battlefield, taking hit after hit after hit, protecting your allies, but can we really do this in this game? Well, the answer is yes, but it's harder than you think. So first of all, let's talk about what even is tanking. Well, tanking means that you're able to draw the enemy's aggression to yourself, taking it away from your allies, and by being tougher than everybody else, it's better for your team if the enemies are attacking you. And that's what a lot of people mistake being a tank with, which is being tough. And being tough usually means having a lot of HP, having a high armor class, having a lot of damage resistances, and having good saving throws. But here's the problem, none of those things make you a tank, they just make you tanky. And so what actually matters in order to be a tank is that you have to make your enemies target you instead of your allies. You need to have a way to do that. It's about drawing aggression. And so, okay, if drawing aggression is all that matters, does being tough mean nothing? Well, no. It does mean a lot. Let's take a look at it. So, is having a lot of HP important? Well, yes, it's very important for every tank, it's just not what will make you a tank. Okay then what about armor class? Is having a high AC important? Well, it depends. So, having high armor class is very useful if you have a way to force the enemies to target you. If you don't, having high AC is actually bad because it gives your enemies an incentive to attack anyone other than you. If they have a hard time hitting you, they're gonna go for an easier target. Well, what about damage resistance then? Is that important? Well, kind of. Having damage resistance becomes more important if you don't have high armor class and less important if you do. And similarly to having high armor class, if you are resistant to the enemy's damage type, they might choose to switch to a different target. Okay, then what about saving throws? That has to be important, right? Well, yeah, actually. Having a good saving throws is important, especially for the three mental ones, because effects that cause you to make intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throws are the ones that will charm, frighten, or incapacitate you if you fail. And you cannot have that as a tank, you must be able to hold the line. So then, okay, I get what being tough means, but how can I actually be a tank? Well, there are a lot of ways to actually do that. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is you need to learn how to taunt. Now, taunting an enemy means growing their aggression towards you. And there are two types of taunts in games in general. You have your hard taunt and your soft taunt. A hard taunt means that the enemy is literally forced to target you. They are unable to do anything else. And a soft taunt means that the enemy is not forced, but is given a strong incentive to target you and not somebody else, and that incentive might come in a rewarding or a punishing manner. So I'm gonna say it right away, there is no hard taunt in D&D. We can get that out of the way right now, there is no hard taunt, and that is why tanking is hard. We now have to find a way to make our enemies attack us without having the ability to actually force them. So what can we do? Well, it seems that we're going to have to lean in to the soft taunt, and thankfully there are quite a few of those in the game. So let's look at a number of ways to soft taunt an enemy. Well, the first thing I'm going to mention here is kind of borderline a taunt. It's not really, but it can help in a lot of ways. And I'm talking about the Barbarian's Reckless Attack that they get at level 2. It says that when you make your first attack roll on your turn, you can decide to attack recklessly. Doing so gives you advantage on attack rolls using strength until the start of your next turn, but, and here's the important bit, attack rolls against you have advantage during that time. And so what this means is that since everybody's getting advantage when attacking you, they have an incentive to choose you as the target instead of everybody else. And this is why barbarians are just passively good tanks, because they can be aggressive and at the same time give the enemies incentive to attack them. And so that's why a lot of barbarians fall to 0 hit points, because they actually do their job pretty well. They get attacked instead of their allies. But of course, this is not really a taunt feature, you're just giving the enemy a positive incentive to attack you, which is still fine. Thankfully, there are more. if you look at the subclasses, the part of the Wildheart Barbarian does have an actual soft taunt option at level 14, when I'm talking about part of the wilds, specifically the Lion option. It says that while your rage is active, any of your enemies within 5 feet of you, so anyone engaged with you, have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another barbarian who has this option active. So if you get right next to an enemy, that enemy can attack you or somebody else with disadvantage. And combining that with reckless attack, if you actually use both of those features, the enemy will have disadvantage when attacking anybody else and advantage when attacking you, so they have double the incentive to make you the target of their ire. Another feature that we have is the Battlemaster Fighter's goading attack maneuver. It says that when you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can expend 1 superiority die to attempt to goad the target into attacking you. Add the superiority die to the damage roll, and the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you until the end of your next turn. Now, of course, this is not as clean as other features. They still have to make a saving throw, and only if they fail, they have disadvantage. But it's just one of the many maneuvers that you get. And so, yeah, there's a very easy way for a Battlemaster Fighter to be able to soft taunt an enemy. And we have more. The Paladin gets access to the Compelled Duel spell. You can cast it as a bonus action. It lasts for up to a minute as long as you maintain concentration. And if the target fails their saving throw, they have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than you for the duration of the spell, and they can't move more than 30 feet away from you. So that is a continuous soft taunt that could potentially last for the entire fight. Now, if you're playing with older material as well, there's the Path of the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian, which has the Ancestral Protectors feature at level 3. Basically, when you hit an enemy with an attack, that enemy has disadvantage on any attack roll that isn't you for a full turn, and even if they do hit a creature other than you with an attack, that creature has resistance to the damage dealt by the attack, and that gets further improved by Spirit Shield at level 6 and Vengeful Ancestors at level 14. Now, another subclass that is not in the player's handbook right now is the Cavalier Fighter with their Unwavering Mark feature. That says that when you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, same as before, you can mark the creature until the end of your next turn. As long as you are within 5 feet of that creature, they have disadvantage on any attack roll that doesn't target you, and if they choose to ignore that and they manage to deal damage to anyone other than you, then you can even make a special melee weapon attack against the marked creature as a bonus action on your next turn, and you can only do the second part a few times per long rest. So you can always just choose to mark the target of your attack, and they have disadvantage on any attack roll that doesn't target you, and a few times per day you can even double their incentive to attack you because you can punish them if they choose to ignore that. And thankfully we have more in the form of feats. The Sentinel feat gives us the Guardian benefit. It says that immediately after a creature within 5 feet of you takes the disengage action or hits a target other than you with an attack, you can make an opportunity attack against that creature. So, of course, this benefit doesn't really make it harder for the enemy to hit our allies. It doesn't try to stop them in any way, but it does punish them if they do. And so yeah, not getting hit is a good incentive to attack you instead of somebody else. We also have the fighting style feats. The interception fighting style allows us to reduce the damage that an ally takes as a reaction, and the protection fighting style allows us to impose disadvantage on an attack against an adjacent ally and all other attack rolls until the start of our next turn. So okay, we've talked about taunting, but is there really any other way for us to be a tank? Well, yes, you can also be a tank by making sure to be the only possible target for your opponent. You can do that by controlling your positioning. So, if your enemy cannot reach anyone other than you, well, they will either attack you or waste their entire turn. And thankfully, there are a couple of features in the game that let us do this. A very good example is the Path of the World Tree Barbarians feature at level 6, Branches of the World Tree. It says that whenever a creature you can see starts its turn within 30 feet of you while your rage is active, you can take a reaction to summon spectral branches of the World Tree around it. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be teleported to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of yourself or in the nearest unoccupied space you can see. After the target teleports, you can reduce its speed to 0 until the end of the current turn. So what this means is that this activates on your opponent's turn. At the start of their turn, as a reaction, you attempt to teleport them. They roll the saving throw, and if they fail, you can put them anywhere you want within 5 feet of you as long as there is an unoccupied space. And if you can find an unoccupied space that is not adjacent to any of your allies, because their speed becomes 0, they have to stay there and you are the only possible target. So they either attack you or they do nothing on their turn. They cannot even move. Another good feature that does this is, again, the Cavalier Fighters Hold the Line feature at level 10. It says creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they move 5 feet or more while within your reach, so if they try to move around you, and if you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the target speed is reduced to 0 until the end of the current turn. So if a creature moves within your reach or just tries to move away, you take an opportunity attack at them. If you succeed, their speed becomes 0, which means they can't leave, which means that they only potentially have you as a target. Another similar feature is the Sentinel feat. The Guardian benefit says immediately after a creature within 5 feet of you takes the disengage action or hits target other than you with an attack, you make an opportunity attack against that creature. We read that before, but the Hold benefit says when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the current turn. So if a creature within 5 feet of you disengages or moves away or hits anyone other than you, you make sure their speed becomes 0. So if they were trying to leave your reach to get to one of your allies, and you hit them, their speed becomes 0, they have to stay there, and you are the only target within their reach. So using these tactics, we can make sure to tank by keeping enemies close to us. And of course, there's always grappling. As long as you manage to grapple an opponent in a space where they can only reach you, since their speed becomes 0 and they can't move, then they can only target you. Well, okay, we've talked about taunting and positioning. Is there anything more? Well, there is one last thing, and that is to just be a major threat. The more threatening you are, the less your enemies can choose to ignore you. Now, usually characters who are the party's major threats are rather squishy. However, if we can manage to be both a threat and be tanky, then we can encourage our enemies to attack us instead of our allies. And I'm going to give you one example of this, which is a cleric with the Spirit Guardian spell, which they get at level 5. Now, I'm not going to read through the entire spell, but what basically happens is you create a 15-foot emanation in a radius around you, and enemies within that emanation take damage every turn and have their speed halved. So, and then you can upcast it for even more damage. So by having a spell like this active, the enemies cannot really afford to just let you be and have all of them take damage every turn and have a hard time moving around you. They have already a strong incentive to attack you instead of your allies. So if we manage to have something like this up and be tanky at the same time, then we can actually be a tank. We have a lot of defenses, and we have a way to make our enemies want to attack us. So here's what we can do. First of all, clerics with the Protector Divine Order are proficient with both heavy armors and shields, and so a cleric with at least 15 strength can have an AC of 20 with plate armor and a shield without any magical item. Of course, we can take things like the Warcaster feat to have advantage on concentration checks, and the Resilient Constitution feat to have proficiency with Constitution saving throws, or things like the Tough feat and a good Constitution to have decent HP. So with a card like this, we have something to annoy and keep damaging our enemies, and therefore they have a reason to keep attacking us. We have good armor class because of our plate armor and shield. We have good concentration checks and decent hit points. So this is one example of how you can manage to be a tank for your team, even if you don't have a specific feature that lets you either taunt or control their movement in such a heavy way. With something like the Spirit Guardian spell, we can also do it. Now, I'm gonna end this video right here, but if you have any other ideas on how we can become a tank, please let me know in the comments down below. For now, thank you very much for watching and staying with me until the end. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.